Dad. All right. I think that's gonna work. All right. Looks like it's working for us this morning. Did I give you a new lesson book?
Yeah, upstairs I did.
You got one? Okay.
Yep.
Well, good morning. My name is Norm Ellis, and this is the Adult One Bible Study at Grace Baptist Church in beautiful Vancouver, Washington. Glad you're with us here online and in the classroom. Hopefully get a few more people in the classroom, but right now we'll start with what we have. And I'm always glad to have Cindy, of course. Today we're in a new unit. So we were in Matthew chapter 1 through 13, I think it was. Normally what we would do is go New Testament, Old Testament, New Testament, Old Testament. But not this time because we want to finish Matthew. I like to finish Matthew. How about you guys?
Oh, yes.
So we're finishing Matthew. We're doing the second half of Matthew now. And we'll be in Matthew 14 today. And the study is called Courage. And we'll be in these areas here. Jesus' presence, verses 22 through 27. Jesus' invitation, 28 through 30. And Jesus' response, 31 through 33. And we're in session 1. And if you have a study book, go ahead and join us. You can join us turn to page 9. That's where we'll be starting today. And our main idea today is that Jesus is greater than anything we fear. And I underline the word anything. So let's go ahead and have a word of prayer. And then we'll jump right into our lesson today. Thank you, Lord, for this day. Thank you for the sunshine. Lord, pray for those that are on their way here. Keep them safe, Lord. Thank you for those that are online as well. I just pray for those who are sick. Help them to get better, Lord. We lift up Diane to you and others we know that are in our congregation as well. Help us to go through these verses today and to learn about these things that we don't need to fear, Lord, that we can have courage, Lord. Thank you in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
All
like
right.
the cowardly lion.
Yeah. Courage, I say.
Yes.
So, Lee, would you mind doing a verse for me?
I would do. I would more than be willing
I
to.
will give you that verse there. And
Right.
you can, of course, look it up in your own translation. That's perfectly fine. Glad to have you guys here today. And as I said, we're talking about courage today. When we talk about courage, we have courage because we don't take courage because guess what we have in our life sometimes? We have fears, right?
Oh, yes.
So, what are some common fears that we might encounter in our life? Maybe you have, or maybe you've heard of. Some common fears.
Fear of the unknown.
Ooh, that's a good one. Unknown.
Unknown.
Okay, what's another one? I'll put up my favorite one. Failure. Fear of failure.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Most of us have that fear. I do. Anyone else? Fear? Doesn't have to be one of these like things where you're afraid.
Heights. Some people have fear of heights.
Oh, yeah, spiders.
Ooh, there we go.
Snakes.
Wait a minute.
Reptiles.
You don't like spiders and snakes?
Oh my. No.
No, that's lions and tigers.
I
and
know.
bears. There was a song, I don't like spiders and snakes.
They're good for the garden.
Yeah, they are. Especially the garter snakes.
Yes.
They're very good for the garden. They love slugs.
I just don't want them in my house. Spiders.
Well, normally they
Spider in the house is a dead spider.
Yes.
normally they don't come in your house except
Especially
for certain kinds, but sometimes they do.
Yeah, but the hairy and jointed leg ones and oh gosh.
Okay, what else? What are some other fears? Fear of unknown, failure, fear of heights, spider, snakes.
Dark.
The dark.
Yeah, little kids are
Say fear of the dark, yes.
dark. And some people are afraid of the water.
Ooh, that's a good one too.
The Jews were. Jews feared the water.
Did they?
Well, they didn't fear like a glass of water. So
No.
They
It was
feared
the ocean.
They feared the expanse of the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And they
Fear
got
of punishment from the parents.
Fear of punishment. But
Fear
that's-
of punishment. That's
well,
good.
Actually,
wasn't
that's not too bad. We'll put that there. Sure, why not?
No, consequences, I guess. Fear of consequences.
Fear of Washington State Democrats.
No.
Yes. Yes.
You know, they voted in a law where the gas taxes automatically go up now?
No.
Yeah, that's why it's gone up this high it is. It's gone up almost $1 since the
Yeah.
first of the year.
All right.
Gosh. Oh, and when you
Politics
get
aside, let's see what I have here.
a bad
Oh, here's a good one. Go ahead.
a bad you know, from the doctor, you're sick.
Oh,
got
bad. Yeah, bad result.
Diagnosis, yeah. Yeah.
But some people have fear of doctors. They won't go see a doctor.
Yeah. Dentist.
Doctor,
Not me.
dentist.
Doesn't bother me to go to the dentist or the doctor. Doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah. I don't like the dentist.
Doesn't bother me.
Hospital. That's a big one too. Some people
That's like
hospital.
shots. Shots don't
Oh,
bother
I
me.
don't like needles.
Doesn't bother me a bit. Hey, I grew up when needles were, almost as big around as my finger, and they used to sharpen them by hand. Seriously. And then they would autoclave them to use them
Oh,
over.
cool. This is a good one too. I forgot the exact name.
Shots today are nothing like when I was a kid. Nothing. That's like we had, they lined us up in grade school. They were giving us, I don't know, I think measles or something. And they did it with the pneumatic.
Oh.
Oh.
That was at the
And,
Air Force.
yeah, and they, the,
Oh yeah.
the military came in and did it for them.
Oh yeah, closed in. Yeah. Claustrophobia.
Yeah.
And,
Oh.
and I was the only kid that went, yes! Because it wasn't one of those big hairy needles that they used to use. It was the pneumatic one. It was nothing compared to the.
You would think that. But I saw a few times, and it was scary, when the guy jerked or moved or something, and the pressure was too high or something,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
actually tore the skin and blood would drip.
Oh
down.
yeah, well
So-
yeah,
so
if
those
you're
guys-
stupid,
Yeah.
don't be stupid.
Don't be stupid. That's
Oh,
right.
mine's in a W.
For my team, it's not. I think you said.
Give you that one. Alrighty, so we got some fears here. What are some common fears? We talked about the fear of the unknown, fear of failure, heights, spiders and snakes. I don't like spiders or snakes. Who's the guy that did that now?
You don't have
I
what
can't
it
remember.
takes to love me.
Fear of the dark, fear of water, fear of punishment and consequences, fear of flying, fear of the doctor, dentist, hospital, or shots, fear of being close. And there's a lot of things we could talk about there that we need courage for in our life today, right? A lot of things like that. And our intro paragraph talks a little bit about that today. And we have a handout, and if you want to follow along, you can. Handout, on the first handout on the first page, it says intro paragraph. I'm going to read that for you. It's also in our lesson book, our study book, if you want to look at that. But fear is a powerful foe that hinders us from progressing in life. Processing, maybe.
Well, that too.
Listen to people around you, and you will hear any number of fears mentioned. Many people are terrified at the idea of public speaking. Is that CC? Move that chair for me. Just put it over here.
Yeah. Public speaking is a good one too. There's
Yeah.
people that are. Yeah.
Others have a fear of heights. Some have fear of failure, which is one of our fears we mentioned, right?
Yes.
Fear of the dark. Crowds. Some people don't like to be around crowds. Yeah. Some people don't like the opposite, being left alone. There's a lot of things like that. Spiders and snakes. There it is. Personal fears include also injury and illness. Our fears impact our thinking, relating, and acting. Fear influences all aspects of life. Dealing with fear correctly is essential for a well-balanced life. And that's exactly right. So, what do you consider to be your biggest fear? What do you think about that question? What about it, Lee?
One of the ones you didn't put up there, I think, is a big fear for a lot of people is death.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It kind of goes hand in glove with like going to the doctor sometimes too. But that's also the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but oops. Wrong color.
Lee, you and I have a fear of public speaking, all right?
Yeah.
That's a good one. Put it up there. And sometimes the fear can take on the fact that it's an unreasonable fear. That I'm going up. I can make fun a little bit of my wife here. I'm going to go up Beacon Rock, but I'm not going to look that way. She'll do that. She goes up Beacon Rock. She's a fear of heights. Has a fear of heights.
Yeah.
And have you been up there before?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a fun walk up there. The catwalk is like hanging on the edge of the mountain. And you're looking down. So I understand that. When I was young, I climbed all kinds of trees, and I never fell out of the tree. So probably that's why I didn't develop a fear of heights. But I built tree houses and stuff. I didn't have any problem. I'd be at the very top of a maple tree. The wind would be blowing, and the whole tree would be going like this. I thought, this is life. This is great.
Security guard yelled at me because I looked over the rail on the on top of the
Mhm.
Empire State Building.
Yes.
Yeah, that. I got a cool picture, but.
I was gonna say, if that was a Beacon Rock, that'd be nice, but
Who else? Who else? Who else has a fear that you think is maybe the biggest fear that you have? And like I said, it could be considered an unreasonable fear, but it also could be just a genuine, really fear. Yes, go
I
ahead.
hated them when I
You
was a
have
kid.
it up there flying.
Flying, yes, flying. Okay.
Specifically helicopters.
Now I worked in the Air Force for a long time. I don't really have an unreasonable fear of flying, but I'm not really jazzed about flying. But I had to fly many times. We fixed something and it would still be broken. We had to go up with the pilot and crew to see it actually in action. So, okay, fine, I'm going on a maintenance check flight. I don't want to, because helicopters don't have a very good glide ratio.
They don't have a glide ratio.
All they do is called auto rotation, but you don't want to go down in a helicopter.
Not
Because
if-
even with auto rotation, you come down smack like that, so it's not a good thing. Most
Not
people break
if
their
two
backs.
of your
buckle in.
Depends upon the helicopter too.
When
Some
two
do have
blades
better auto rotation.
go off because somebody forgot to put.
Well, that could happen too. That's a bad thing. But anyway, so I would say I probably have a fear of flying, but maybe it's more a fear of crashing. That might be more of my fear.
Fear of not flying when you were flying.
Yeah, that could be it. Anyway,
Suddenly not flying.
but we all have fears, and like I said, sometimes it becomes unreasonable in our life. We may need to get some help, right? So for many people, their fears change over time, especially as children. And when I was a kid, I had a fear of water. The fear was not water splashing my face or my hands. It was being under the water. Okay. And you've dealt with that before as a former pastor, I know, where people don't want to be baptized, but they want to be baptized. They don't want to be baptized. They don't want to be immersed baptized. Yeah. And so it's a difficult thing to work through, especially for kids. It's a really, really hard to do. What's that?
Fear of drowning.
Well, yeah, fear of drowning kind of goes with fear of water in a way. But yeah, I definitely think. Now, I don't want to talk about this. I better not talk about this.
That's okay.
Some people have a fear of not only death, but of being buried.
Alive.
Even though they're dead, they don't like the idea of being contained in a box and under the ground, you know?
Did you see the new report that came out?
The new report?
Yeah.
Okay.
They've done
Lay it on me. What's the new report?
They've done extensive research and they found out that the brain lives a lot longer than they thought.
Huh?
Yeah.
And that people are conscious longer than they realized, and just to declare someone dead,
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah, I've heard those kind of things before too. There's a guy who, I forgot the guy's his name is. It's an actual true thing. The guy was brain dead. Okay, but the wife would not give up. Said, no, you're not going to disconnect that person. He's my husband. You're not going to disconnect that person. And she was adamant about it. All the while, he's conscious. He's hearing these things around him. He can't move. He can't blink his eyes. Nothing. He's like, I'm totally at the mercy of these people around me. He suddenly realized. Luckily, eventually, he was able to like blink his eye a little bit, and a little bit more, and he almost made a full recovery. I guess he had some partial paralysis. So yeah, that's a fear of mine too. I gotta tell you. Somebody
You just
pulled-
tell
well,
me how
he's
many
dead.
days to wait.
And they were trying to convince her, just sign this form because, you know, he's dead, he's gone.
We need his
he's
organs.
brain dead. And he wasn't. And
Well, that's part of what they've investigated. They not only talked to thousands of people, but they also did multiple studies and stuff, and they determined that depending upon the person,
The situation.
the brain and stuff can live anywhere from 2 hours to like up to 12 hours.
well, the Jews thought that when they died, this is the only thing I read, that the spirit would hover over the body for about 2 days. By the third day, it was gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Jesus waited
3 days.
3 days before going to see Lazarus, because that way somebody. Well, he was not quite dead. He was only partially dead.
He was merely dead.
Nothing but a flesh wound.
But he was dead. He was dead. And matter of fact, they said he's going to smell if we open that up. Don't open that up, Jesus. Anyway, so I digress. But there's a lot of these kind of fears that we have. All those fears have potential to throw our lives into chaos. I have known people that will not, that don't want to leave their home. Agoraphobia, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to leave their home. Does you think that would have changed your life if you got a fear like that? Oh, my goodness, wouldn't it?
Germophobia,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
It'd be terrible, right? Today's study focuses on how Jesus helps his people face their fears
They
and
do.
respond in faith.
They've determined that hoarding is a type of fear too.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's
Yeah.
there's a psychological thing there too. Anyway, so where are we now? We're in chapter 14. Like I said, the new unit picks up there, and there's several things that have happened prior to our main verses today. I'm just going to look at the full text here. Just going to glance at it real quick in verses 1 through 21. The first 12 verses is talking about John the Baptist being beheaded. And basically, we don't need to go through that, but when that happened. Did it affect Jesus? Profoundly it did. Profoundly it did. We're going to see that here. After this, the 5,000 are fed. This account of the 5,000. Because when Jesus heard about John, he withdrew, this is verse 13, withdrew from there in a boat to a secluded place by himself. And when the people heard of this, they followed him on foot from the cities. And he went ashore, and he saw the large crowd. He felt compassion on them, and healed their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This place is desolate, and the hour is already late. Send the crowds away, Jesus, that they may go into the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said to them, "They do not need to go away. You give them something to eat." I love Jesus. I don't want to skip these verses, but I love how he says, "You give them something to eat." He tells the disciples to do
Take care of
that.
the problem.
Now, by the way, I think prior to this, he had fed the 4,000 or something like that, if I remember right. I might be getting my
I think
timeline.
4,000 was later.
Was it later? Okay, I'm probably got my timeline messed up. Anyway, but they had seen Jesus do all kinds of things, is my point. Said, but we only have these 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Says, "Bring them to me." Like you said, "Bring them to me," Ordering the people to sit down on the grass. He took the 5 loaves and 2 fishes, and he looked up to heaven. He blessed the food, break the loaves, and he gave to the disciples, and the disciples gave to the crowds, and they all ate and were satisfied. 5,000 people. What is that called?
Miracle.
Feast.
It's a miracle. Now, what is a miracle?
Leftovers.
Yeah. What is the well? They did pick up leftovers. Guess how many baskets? It's very symbolic. 12 baskets full of leftovers. Wow.
One for each disciple.
Yeah. There were about 5,000 men. That's not counting the women and children, by the way. They were there as well. So that was quite the miracle of nature, right? And he had done other things besides that prior to this. We talked about that in that last unit. And so there's a lot of these kind of things that are happening, and they're observing it. If you were disciples and you saw him do these things, we, having 20/20 hindsight, would think what? This guy can do anything he wants to, right? I'm not going to be amazed anymore. Wrong. We're going to see how wrong that is here. So we're going to go to this really, really interesting portion here about Jesus walking on the water. And I think it's fascinating to me. So we're going to, let's see. I'm going to give Steve, I'll give you A. You thought
I'm
you're
not
not going to
here.
get one.
I'm sorry, I'm not here.
You can do that one. That leaves me with B. So
It's upside down.
I know, it's really hard to read, but you can do it. I have faith in you. Look at this. We're going to look at the first 6 verses, verses 22 through 27. I want you to take note of the words that stick out to you. When we read these verses, what impresses you from these verses? Who has one?
I do.
You got the big one. I'm jealous. No, go ahead.
Okay, immediately he made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side while he sent the crowds away. After he had sent the crowds away, he went up on the mountain by himself to pray, and when it was evening, he was there alone. But the boat was already a long distance from the land, battered by the waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, he came to them walking on the sea. When the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified and said, "It is a ghost!" And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them, saying, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid."
This is so packed with some neat stuff. These and I know Lee and Matthew, you guys are just, I could preach on this. And it's great stuff, isn't it? So, what did he want to do? What did he want to do after the news about John the Baptist and after the exhausting time of preaching and feeding the 5,000? What did he want to do then?
Be alone.
He wanted to be alone. Have you ever come across a situation where you've just been so maxed and now, okay, I gotta decompress.
Yeah.
I gotta process these things. John the
What
Baptist, my
bathrooms for.
person baptized me.
What the bathrooms for.
Right. He is dead now. I got to process that. I got to process how we took care of those people, how all the healings that I've done, all these things. You know, so he's going to do it. He's going to recharge, right? He's going to go away to do what? To pray.
Pray, yes.
Says to pray. And it's interesting to see that he did this immediately. That he did something with the disciples. What did he tell the disciples to do?
Take courage.
No, that's later.
First
First,
about go away.
Oh, in the
get away from me. Go away from me.
You guys
Right?
have your own guide time.
Yeah.
Go enjoy the boat.
Now,
He.
okay, me personally,
I rented you a cruise ship.
Go to the other side. I'll meet you there.
I think he had, of course, had this plan. He knew it was going to happen.
No, really?
So he's got to set them up for this. What's going to happen? And so he sends them away, right? He says, "Get them
So
up."
he had the rocks just under the water.
Yeah, that's just under the water. No, that's,
He knew where all the stepping stones were.
Oh gosh.
what was that? I'm getting off track already. Okay, handout number 4. It's got there's an interesting informational thing here. It's called the Jesus boat. Have you ever heard of the Jesus boat? Some people have, some people haven't. No? In 1986, and this is on handout number 4, I have the color version. You'd also have one in your email if you subscribe to this handout. But anyway, the Jesus boat, discovered in 87, was an ancient fishing vessel from the 1st century AD, found in the northwestern shore of the Sea of Galilee. Where is it that Jesus is doing a lot of his stuff right now? In the Galilee area, right? And primarily in the north area of the Galilee.
Did they find the boat?
Oh my word.
Can we go and touch it?
It's the Jesus boat. Anyway, they found on the northwestern side of the Sea of Galilee a boat in the mud, in the muck, approximately 27 feet long, 7.5 feet wide, and 4.5 feet deep. It constructed of 10 different types of wood, which I think is interesting. Its discovery provided significant insight into maritime life during the time of Jesus, showcasing the technology and craftsmanship of the era. I mean, they weren't just country bumpkins, just tossing a few things together and floating on them. No, they knew what they were doing. Yeah.
That says 27. This down here says 26.
Oh my goodness. Fishermen like Peter, James, and John likely used a boat similar to this. The boat's now on display at the Yigal Alon Center in Kibbutz Jinzar.
Say that again.
I'm not going to say it again.
Real fast.
Where visitors can learn more about its history and preservation. There's a link that shows there. But basically, they found what was the hull of this ship. Okay? This ship, I call it a ship, not a ship. It's a boat. And so there's not a lot there, but they can reconstruct, looking at what they have, what the boat probably looked like. It probably looked like this other picture down below, something similar to this. It's a simple craft. It was used by the fishermen. Could this have been the boat that Jesus stood in?
No.
Or sat in, or slept in? No, probably not. Probably not. But was it maybe a typical boat of the era? Yes. Very possibly a typical boat of the era. When we see the accounts of Peter, James, and John being called, what were they doing? Fishing from these small boats, right? And then later on, when Jesus, after the resurrection, right, and he called out to them, little children, have you caught anything? Remember what Peter did?
Throw it on the other side. Well, he hopped out of the boat.
Peter was stripped for fishing, it says, and so he grabbed his cloak or grabbed something and jumped in the water. And it's interesting to see that kind of thing going on. But this is the kind of boat they would use. And it's little,
Peter always jumping before thinking.
yeah. But it's very interesting. It's a very simple boat. Has a mast in the yard. They call it probably a squarish sail. Not much to it. They have these little rudder things. They call them. And also, they can call them dagger boards. But they're basically to help push the boat one way or the other. And they may or may not have a couple of oars on each side. We don't know. Something like that, because it does mention they were rowing, right? And they would strip themselves and jump into the water and help get the net back. That was their process of fishing. Quite interesting article about that I found. I had not heard of the Jesus boat, except for a long time ago, because when I read it, I said, that sounds familiar. And so I probably saw a little blurb on it one time thinking, oh, that's kind of cool, interesting. Yeah. But what do we see? They were across I forgot the time of day. This is very important here. When was this? First of all,
Evening we went.
it was in the evening, right? Late afternoon, evening, right? So they're going across the lake, and for some reason, the wind picks up.
About 3 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, it continued. It continued until later, which was about 3, 4, 5 o'clock before daybreak, and is this what this time frame is? So they were exhausted. They were wet. They were cold, probably. Several hours had gone by, right? And so they were going across here, and they were still a long distance from land, battered by the waves, for the wind was contrary. Now, the distance is talking about is stadia. What does the word stadia stand for? Do you know? Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Stadia, stadium. And this is related to measurements that the Romans used. And I think it was like, what was it? Many stadia it talks about, but they don't have a precise reading, but basically it's quite a ways. It translates quite a ways. So they're stuck in the middle of that lake.
We got a mile from it.
With winds picked up, and they trying to go against the wind, and they can't go. They can't go. They're stuck out in the middle. And what happens? Would you have fears? Even these fishermen who've seen this stuff, would you have fears at this point? You would be probably worn down from all the exhaustion of the day was, and now you've been rowing all night long. These waves keep coming up. You can't seem to make any headway. I would be discouraged. I would be scared.
Well, if you've never been in a small boat on choppy water that's coming over the sides,
Yeah,
you ain't lived.
It's exciting.
it's not.
It's very scary.
It is.
It is. I was up on was it Swift or one before Swift? It was
Probably Swift. That's the
No, I was
windy one.
Yale.
Yale. I was on Yale, and testing out my new motor I had for my boat, and Teresa was with me, and we're in the middle, and I said, I think the wind's coming up. Oh, whitecaps, and I don't know what speed the wind has to be for that. But anyway, they were breaking over the bow. Here we are in this boat, little 12-foot boat. Trying to get to the other side.
Start bailing, dear.
No, we didn't quite get to that point because I finally was able, because I started good. I started when I should have started. If any later, I might not have made it. But we got to the other side and just come along the shore up to the landing there.
Yeah, scariest time I ever had. We were aboard a little DE, and we had to shut all the hatches, and I was on watch, and we went out to rescue some dopes that were out there in a sailboat, and the waves were literally covering the entire DE, destroyer escort.
Wow.
It was like being aboard a submarine. You couldn't see any ship at all when the waves came over.
This one guy that I get notes
That's why I'm in the
from.
Air Force.
That's why I got notes from us talking about that he was
Yeah, you just
on-
plow into the ground.
he was on a Coast Guard ship, and apparently these ships are designed so that when big waves hit them, they'll go all the way over and come back out.
And
Modern
Come back
lifeboats
up,
are often
yep.
that way too.
And he
They're
said
sealed up.
because they put the waves were getting big, really big waves, so they attached some sort of cord or lanyard to him, and it says if you see the captain throw his cigar off to the side, it says grab a hold of something. That's what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
it's real serious then.
Yeah, because we're gonna go 360. He said.
Well,
Anyway,
we were
they
fishing.
didn't, but he was prepared. Where was it here? Yeah, many stadium. Here it is where we get the word stadium from. It's a race course length, about 600 Greek feet. I don't know what Greek foot is.
185 meters.
Is that what it is? And it doesn't tell me. It says that it was many of those 1/8 miles. Okay, so at this point the land was a good ways off. There can be something fearful about that for people. Yes, there can. Like you mentioned, being on even those small lakes, that's scary. Now, Sea of Galilee, I think, is a lot wider than those reservoirs. I'm pretty sure.
The
But
more tired,
still.
the more tired you get, also the more your emotions are going to come
Yeah.
out.
And this is nighttime.
Yeah. After a long day
Yeah.
of ministry.
Nighttime and probably maybe even
For
rain.
a lot of people.
Yes, go ahead.
They were coming from which side to which side?
East side to the west
You know-
side.
East side to the west side?
Yeah, I think in the northern part of the lake.
It says
Okay,
a
so-
secluded place for the beginning.
Yeah, I don't think we exactly know, but they have a good idea.
I was gonna say, if they're there, they're getting winds coming off that high plateau.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's notorious for this. It could be a perfect, wonderful day, and suddenly the winds pick up.
that's the deeper part of the lake too.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, would that be a scary thing? That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Oh boy, yes it would. And I think Lee had mentioned earlier that a lot of the Jewish people had a fear of the water. Now the fear they had was of the Great Sea, which is the Mediterranean Sea. But any water of a large substance would probably fuel those same fears. It would for me.
Especially when it whips up
Yeah.
on you.
So
So-
why did the Jews have to share water?
Because a lot of people, when they're lost at sea, their bodies are
You
never
never find it
recovered.
Oh.
And for the Jew, that's
And they didn't have any weather forecasting.
A lot,
Really.
a lot of the literature will talk about the Old Testament even uses the symbolism of the
Mhm.
deep waters and
Yes.
the untamed
Yes.
waves as that element of
it's a fear
unknown
thing.
chaos
Yeah.
that we don't have power over, and when we're lost, we're gone.
And,
Yeah.
and you can't see what's below the surface.
Yeah.
And so it's unknown dangers and things like that.
Like the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Like when I watched
Like what?
when I watched Jaws,
Yarmouth Castle.
I was afraid to go in the water.
Oh,
don't
come
know.
on, I just watched that 2 years ago. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, Jaws?
Yeah, I was afraid to go in the water after Jaws.
A lot of people were afraid to. Anyway, so it was the
That's
fourth.
funny.
It was the fourth watch of the night. That was the other thing I was going to say.
Maybe watching as a 40-year-old doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
The Jews had adopted the Roman system of 4 night watches. The first watch was evening, the second was around midnight, and the third was what they call cockcrow, and then fourth was morning. You can see that talked about in Mark 13:35. So they estimate the time that this experience happened to them was between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. So it was very late, but it was getting to be the point where you're going to see daybreak pretty soon. So they've been up all night going through this stuff all night long. Would you be worn down by that point?
Yeah.
So they're all, and then what happens? What do they see?
Jesus walking.
Well, they didn't know it was Jesus at first.
They thought it was a ghost.
Yeah. Now remember, if they're afraid of the water to begin with, terrible storm. What would you think if you got these fears already? Yeah, there's spirits out there. There's things that I don't know about. I'm scared. Look at that. That's one of them right there. Right? You wouldn't think it was Jesus.
No.
Well, you wouldn't think a guy could walk on the water.
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't think it was to be Jesus necessarily. So they said at first what? It is a ghost or a spirit. And they cried out in fear. That's one of the things we're talking about today is fear, because you have to have courage, right, to face your fears, right? So they saw this and then made him cry out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." Now, this term, "do not be afraid," does this sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
How many times, now I don't know the answer to this, but how many times do you think maybe we've heard that before, especially in the New Testament?
A lot.
A lot. A lot.
I'm very glad you didn't say 365
Yes.
because that was made up.
I was gonna say, every time an angel comes, it's.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Remember, the angel visited Zacharias while he was in the temple, and what's the first thing the angel said is,
Don't be
"Don't be
afraid.
afraid."
Chill out. It's
The
okay.
angel visited Mary, same thing.
Revelation too.
There's been many, many circumstances in that same situation where do not be afraid. So we know that Jesus is trying to do what? Allay their fears, right? Set their fears aside. So,
Phobos.
what?
Phobos, word
Pho-
fear.
Right, exactly.
Phobia. We get phobias on it.
Okay, I forgot where okay, I forgot to mention this too. The word battered, I don't know, battered by the waves in verse 24. That has significance as well. It refers to torture or great distress, the word they used here. We translate as battered. And so the disciples were struggling against the natural elements. By this point, they probably were cold, wet, and exhausted. They also had been rowing for several hours. Rowing, by the way, is not fun.
No.
Anyway,
It
Jesus
is for a while.
not against the wind. Jesus had dismissed them around sundown, and now it was nearing sunrise. The wording suggests, like I said, it was around 3 a.m. to 6. And Jesus came towards them, and he said what? What was the first thing he said?
Boo.
Well, 27, it says,
Sorry.
"Take courage."
Take courage.
And then what did he say after that?
It is.
Yeah.
It is I.
Yes.
It is I.
Why
Now-
can you be courageous? Because it's Jesus.
And this I, this it is I is
He didn't say it's me, Jesus. He said it is I.
the lesson material draws to the was it not Isaiah, Exodus. Yeah, I gave that to Steve. Exodus. Could you read that verse in Exodus 3:14, please?
God said to Moses, "I am who I am."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you."
Now, sometimes I think theologians and stuff will reach a little bit for certain
Yeah.
things. And this could be one of them.
Yeah.
However, Matthew is known for this, for connecting to the Old Testament, for the Jewish audience that he's writing to understand why the gospel account is the fulfillment from the Old Testament.
Yeah, it can also be translated out probably more correctly, believe it or not. It is me.
It is me as well.
It is me. Because
But-
the word is ego.
Right. And so we could say from that he's also claiming this equality with God. Now, is that true or not? I don't know for sure, but it could be. It could be. So, have you ever been in a situation like this, where a situation and you had these fears happening, but you felt Jesus' presence?
Oh, yeah.
And how was that meaningful to you? Did it calm you, or did it maybe heighten some other things, or
Both.
both? Okay. It should, right? It should. When we get in these fearful things, the first thing we should do as Christians is do what?
Pray.
Pray, but yes, but remember what God has done for us, and He wants to bring us through those times, especially if there are situations that are keyed into what we should be doing as Christians, right?
Find our contra.
No. If you, let's say, for instance, if you had a fear of speaking, if you had a fear of speaking in public, okay, like I did, I had a fear of speaking in front of people. And it's probably hard to believe, but I did. I was a wallflower. I didn't like to talk because, but now when God said no, I'm gonna.
Hey, I did too.
I'm gonna make you teach.
I stuttered horribly. I had to take lessons and stuff in 3rd and 4th grade. Yep.
But God can help us to confront those fears. He can give us the courage to get through those kind of situations, can't He?
Yes, he can.
Fun connection point, Isaiah 43, verses 1 and 2. I'm going to jump a little bit, but it says in verse 1, do not fear, for I
Not
will be
you.
you. I know. In verse 2, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you, right? So this Isaiah prophecy about the Lord being with his people when they pass through the waters, and therefore do not fear. And,
Isn't that
Jesus
more
kind of
like the Red
plays off
Sea?
that a little.
Isn't that more? He's
I
referring
think
to
it plays off of it, right?
Is that Isaiah 43:16?
It is Isaiah 43.
Imagine
yeah.
that. Okay. Also in Psalm 77:19, your way was in the sea, and your paths in the mighty waters, and your footprints may not be known.
Funniest cartoon I ever saw was the Israelites beating it across the Red Sea, and the waters are parted on either side, and the last guy in line is shaking his foot, and he goes, icky, icky, icky fish.
Okay. All right. Going on here. Our second point we're at is Jesus' invitation. We talked about his presence. Right? Did he make his presence known? Oh boy, did he. He came right up to that area where they were, walking on the water. Now, how did he walk on the water? Well, we know it was a miracle.
Floating.
You know,
On
we don't think there's rocks because it's quite deep there, by the way.
Praise God, he can do whatever he wants.
And
That's right.
well, that's true.
I'm just
Exactly.
imagining like the choppy waves, and we're just kind of like riding on the wave, and then that's it. Then the
Wait.
next wave comes, kind of rides up a little
I don't know how that was
Yeah.
arranged, but
Sailboard.
we can ask him how.
Yeah, we can ask him later on. Yeah.
Foil.
But it's still quite an interesting thing. So Jesus is going to
Styrofoam booties.
invite. We're going to see the invitation here. Who is number 2?
Me.
Could you read that for us?
Peter said, Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. And he said, come. Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water and came toward Jesus. But seeing the wind, he became frightened and began to sink. He cried out, Lord, save me.
So when we hear Peter say this, what can you detect from Peter's voice? Now I know we're not listening to Peter's voice. We're listening to Lee speak the words of Peter many years ago. But how would you interpret that, his voice as he's speaking to Jesus here?
I think he was fearful and shaky with his voice, with a little bit of trembling maybe because of all of the emotions in his mind at this point. And for him to say, command me, that is his faith seeing that it could be Jesus. That's what I see in that.
Remember, they were afraid, and he said, take courage, it is I. So Peter took him at his word.
Yes.
Now, we like to beat
Well,
up...
kinda.
We like to beat up
No,
on Peter.
he did, but he let his humanity take over
Yes.
because he was doing something he's never ever done in his whole life
Correct.
before.
Mhm.
And he saw the choppy waves, and
Yeah. As soon as he took his focus off of Jesus and onto the water, I'm sorry.
Hey, good luck keeping us in order today, Dad. I tell you.
I told you, it's great stuff, isn't it? But you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get to that in just a moment. But what's interesting here, I want to share this first. That this is basically a story within a story, essentially. It's not. You know, this particular incident here, with what Peter did, and what Jesus did for Peter, is not in any of the Gospels. I thought it was. And I said, wait a minute. I started looking at it. No, I guess it's not exactly there.
Oh.
So Matthew thought it was important enough to put this aspect in this that he had known about.
Only crazy Peter.
Yeah.
Well, he had enough courage to jump out of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the interesting thing is, you can read this in a couple of ways. Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water. Or you could say, Lord, if it's you, command me to come out.
I think that's more what it was.
Yeah.
Because they were
Yeah.
a few moments ago they were going ah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Literally, it says they were screaming like crows.
Right. We
So-
would maybe read that translation of the Greek there in that first way, but it's really not. He's not really expressing doubt here. And it talks about that here. It's a statement of uncertainty, it says, even doubt perhaps. But Matthew used a Greek conditional form. Now, I love these. What? Greek conditional form? I've never heard of that term before. That assumes the truth of the statement. Thus, Peter's word could be better rendered, Lord, since it's you. And that's an interesting way to look at that. I did not think about that before. Since it is you. In other words, he's convinced that this person says that Jesus is Jesus, apparently. If that's,
And that's what the Greek says, you said?
that's what they're saying, this
Well,
conditional
it's-
use
it's-
could be interpreted as.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's the way the words are formed and used.
Yeah.
Depending upon the endings of certain words,
Mm-hmm.
it means certain things at certain times.
I imagine the disciple, again, they probably had a hard time hearing. You got the wind and the waves whipping around, right? And I imagine the disciples were probably arguing a little bit. It's a ghost. Have courage. It's I. Like, bad chance, that's Jesus. Peter's like, I'm pretty sure it's Jesus. It's not Jesus. Okay, Jesus, tell me to come out.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a bit of an argument, but we don't really know that. That's just
We don't hear all the
speculation.
details, do we? But we do know that, like I said, people like to pick on Peter a lot.
They may have wanted to row fast.
But nobody else said that. Nobody else said that. But Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some translations say that Peter was requesting Jesus to tell him to come out of the water. But I like the New American Standard here because it says command you to come out. And that's what they're saying. That this is, something that Peter's requesting a special thing. Allow me to do what you're doing too. I want to be with you. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
I'll never
Deny
go
you.
against you. And
Well, the whole
give me a sword. I'm ready to go.
The whole
That's Peter.
idea there is, if it's you, Lord, you can command.
Yes, that's true too. Yep, exactly right.
I mean, a good preaching point is, it's safer to get out of your own boat and get onto the storm and the waves. It doesn't make sense if Jesus calls you.
Yeah.
Like, where to be safer for anyone? Well, in the boat. Peter says, the boat's not as safe as him. I'm gonna go hang out with him.
Yeah.
But this is a teachable point for Peter. Peter and we see a lot of these for Peter, and because Jesus did not hesitate. Well, are you sure? It is wet out here, and you are afraid of this kind of stuff normally. No.
There's none of that
That's
discussion.
cool. I'm gonna walk on water too.
He said one thing. He said, "Come." Now, when Jesus says a command, you do it. Essentially, and Peter knows this, and Peter does it. He comes.
Yeah.
How would you be able to do that?
I don't know.
I'm not
because
that-
the Lord's
I'm not that
presence
courageous.
is
I hate
pretty
to say this.
powerful.
I don't
So
know.
I think I would.
I mean, if it's Jesus.
I would be
Yeah.
like Matthew or James. I'd be saying, "I'm watching Peter. I'm not going to go out there.
Oh, I'd be diving over.
I'm going to see what happens."
I'd be like,
I'd be in the water.
You've been in the water, all right,
Oh,
good
I
for
would.
you. But Peter got out of the boat and he walked on the water.
We don't like to think we'd be in the water, but if you're out on a boat and the waves are coming over the side and you see this form coming out of the dark,
There's a lot going on here,
there's a
isn't there?
lot going on.
well, I
Yeah.
wonder if the light was emanating from.
Why? You think that he has a nightlight on him?
No.
He didn't glow.
Oh no, there was nothing like that going on. They would have said that.
There was enough light to see him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only
Yeah.
time it's been talked about is during the Transfiguration.
Okay.
So and we get that from art
Yes.
because a lot of the artwork from the
Halos.
images,
I think it's.
showed that.
I forget which passage
Yeah.
in Isaiah. He has no stately form. He has no majesty.
Right.
To be
He looks
drawn.
common.
Right. That's
Well, I
it.
wasn't sure because it was so dark, and then he
Okay.
wanted them to see him. So
Yeah,
I
he
didn't
wasn't
know.
a glow
But
stick.
is it so
No,
dark?
I know he's not close.
Couldn't,
If the morning is
Couldn't it-
breaking.
well,
depending.
That's yeah, I know
couldn't
that's
be
yeah.
clouds part and then?
It could have, but it didn't.
But
It didn't
it
tell
doesn't
us.
doesn't
say
actually
that.
mention clouds or rain. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So if
Wind.
you got moonlight, that's plenty bright enough to see figures
Correct.
on the
It could have been something like that, something dim, but they knew it was a figure at
Yep.
first. They couldn't tell it sure what it was until Jesus spoke.
Yeah.
We know that much.
Well, a lot of those boats too had lanterns. That they
That's
would
true.
give
Oh.
light.
Yeah, that's not in my picture.
And,
No.
and it could be that they had something like that, but it doesn't again speak
Yeah.
to that. But we don't know.
Well, because when they would when they fish,
knew his voice though.
when they fish, they usually fish towards evening and into the dark,
Oh.
or early in the morning before the sun came up. And they would use lanterns to help attract the fish. And so they
Yeah.
often had lanterns.
Yeah.
Whether it was functional this time with the storm and the wind.
Correct.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Peter was focusing on Jesus. Steps out in the water, and then his focus shifts. What does it shift to?
The waves.
Water.
He's looking at the water and the waves. He's getting what? Fearful. Fearful, right? We talk about common fears. And this was probably hitting his wheelhouse right there. Wow! All these things suddenly hit him, right? And he starts to doubt that Jesus can do what he first said, right? What Peter is also known as Simon, but what does Peter mean?
Cephas.
Rock.
Rock, right? So he began to sink like a rock.
Boom.
But
I love that part.
Not
Anyway,
until he saw the wind.
but he did something that was really,
how do you
really
see the
good.
wind?
What did he say? In verse
He was
30,
special.
saw the wind, became frightened, began to sink, and then he realized only one person can save me, right? And he cries out, Lord, save me.
Save me.
Lord, save me. And you know, God
Immediately.
hears our call to him. We know that.
Yeah.
And he did. So to save here means to rescue or deliver from danger, whether physical or otherwise. His primary meaning here is that. Peter is asking to be saved from drowning from the depths of the lake, from his fears, right? But save also is a meaning in salvation as well, we know that. Matthew clearly used this episode to recall David's word in Psalm 69, 1 through 2. Save me, O God, for the waters have come up to my neck. I have come into the deep waters, the floods engulf me. Was that the one you read earlier or referred to earlier?
I did 43, 1 and 2.
Yeah, but anyway, I love that verse as well. So let's look at Jesus' response now. Jesus' response, and this is 31 through 33. Who has number 3?
They've got number 3.
Number 3, okay. And I want you to listen carefully for what caused the storm to calm. Go ahead.
Matthew 14, 31 to 33. Immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and took hold of him and said to him, You of little faith, why did you doubt? When they got into the boat, the wind stopped, and those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, You are certainly God's son.
Wow. So what was the first thing we see there as far as you think might cause the storm to calm? What was the things that happened?
Jesus got into the boat,
Okay.
but also if you extrapolate it out, the lesson he was trying to teach was
Uh-huh.
over.
What was that now? The last part?
The lesson he was teaching
Right.
was over.
Right. Okay.
So
I like the terminology he uses here.
And I think you're exactly right. This was all, I don't want to say choreographed in a fake way, but created so Peter would have this experience with the disciples.
Well,
The Creator had
I
control.
don't.
He's in charge.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think he created it for this to happen. I think he knew it was going to happen, and he.
Well,
was,
okay, either way,
Yeah.
he knew it was something that he was in charge of. Anyway, what you were saying.
I like the wording that they use there for little faith. It literally means
Arachnophobia.
puny faith. you,
Okay, yeah,
you puny
yeah.
faith.
You need to show great faith, and there was a couple of instances in the Bible, in the New Testament, that talks about great faith. Can you recall them? Two of them specifically where Jesus talked about somebody
The
who had
centurion.
great faith. What was that now?
The
Oh, yeah.
centurion.
The centurion. Oh, the Gentile guy? Yeah. So don't have to come to my house. You say the word.
Was that Nicodemus?
And he
No.
went, no, it
No.
wasn't
That wasn't
Nicodemus.
Nicodemus.
And when
That was
Jesus,
the other guy. And that was-
Jesus
sorry.
uh,
remember.
said, I have not seen such great faith in all of Israel. So in other words, the Jewish people, my people, the ones who I am from and for, they're not showing the faith of this time.
Samaritan woman who said, "Hey, even the
Syrophoenician woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the other one. And he remarked what great faith. And again, a non-Jew. Kind of interesting to
The
see
one
that.
that came up and touched his garment.
No,
No,
That's
different
different.
one. She said, even the dogs eat the crumbs that fall on the floor.
Oh, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
There was
that
a meal he was having and she was begging.
Yeah.
So the picture is that Jesus, just grabbed his hand and took hold of it. I was looking for a good image and online last night for this, and I saw several I almost used instead of the one I used on my email.
Yeah.
But it showed Jesus' hand down into the water,
Mhm.
and the other hand right there under the water,
Yeah.
and he was down, and Jesus reached out where he was essentially gonna die, and saved him out of the water.
And all the others go, yep, you're the son of God.
So anyway, Peter's cry for rescue was answered, wasn't it?
Yes.
Stretched out his hand, took a hold of him. Now I want to know, what did he pull against?
The rock.
The rock he was standing on?
Oh.
Jesus is a rock and he rolls
Yeah.
my blues away. Shoobop, 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 woo!
But anyway, again, like you mentioned, he remarks about his hand-picked disciples. Peter was one of them. You have such little puny faith.
I think Peter had to be shown this over and over again.
He
Because
did, didn't he?
isn't it shortly after this they're walking along and said, who do the people say I am?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, I forget.
yes, you're the
Yes,
guy.
yes,
Oh, you're the guy. And then Peter goes, oh no, you're not going to go die.
Well, yeah, that's coming up still, but yes, you're right.
Yeah, that is
So-
chapter 16, yeah.
So what caused the storm to calm? Okay, well, this person who wrote this says, after they entered the boat, the wind died down. This incident brings to mind an account in Matthew 8:26 through 27,
Peace be still.
where Jesus rebuked the winds and the sea, and it became perfectly calm. And men were amazed. What kind of man is this that even the winds and the sea obey him? Now, it's a different situation, but it's similar.
Similar.
Except he didn't rebuke him, the wind here.
Mm-mm. He didn't say anything.
He stepped into the boat, and it was calm. And then, there's where we're going, right there.
Yeah, the whole idea is it just
Yeah.
settled down.
Yeah. It's an amazing thing for them, isn't it? So, what was their response? They got in the boat, and the wind stopped, and then 33.
Yep, you're surely the son of God.
Now, they've said this more than once, we're going to see. So they seem to have a short-term memory here on these things. And you just saw the guy taking these 2 fish and 3 loaves or whatever it was, and feeding 5,000 people with it.
Yeah.
They're not gained insight.
Just saw it.
Their hearts were hardened, as Mark says.
I know.
Well, the other thing is too is they grew up with the Pharisees and the Sadducees saying, "This is God. This is the way God acts.
Yes.
This is the way God is. This is the way God acts." And we have hindsight. We have the Bible we've read. We've had all this stuff. So it's easy for us to say, "Oh, I wouldn't have doubted. Oh, I would have done this."
Yeah.
Not if you've had a whole life of this being thrown at you, and that
Mm-hmm.
the Romans hate you and they're going to kill all of us and blah 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 and stuff. And so this is why Jesus came. They needed to hear this. They needed to know that God was stronger than they realized.
God
and cared about them more.
God is stronger than their fears.
Yeah.
And that's what it brings out of this.
Stronger than the Romans, stronger than the Pharisees, stronger than the wind and the waves.
But we see that the sea calmed as soon as Peter and Jesus got in the boat, right? So the presence of Jesus in the boat most likely calmed the storm, not only around them, but where else? In their own hearts, right? The fear that they were going through was being calmed by Jesus being with them.
2 examples of this that I'm thoroughly reminded of is I had a friend that lived in Iran after Khomeini came into power, and this is all in the news right now. And he said, "You will not believe how fearful people are." He said, "You can't even hint at not liking what he's doing, or you're dead, your family's dead, and everything's."
Yeah.
And the other one is a friend of mine who lived next door to us, who was a Romanian lay pastor, and he said, "Cecescu, you didn't even utter that you were a Christian or owned a Bible or anything because your whole family would end up in the gulag somewhere."
That's right. And the Soviet Union, similar things.
Yeah, they do.
So you mentioned already that you have little faith. Why did you doubt? And that was exactly what I was going to talk about. That touch on that as well. It says we as well should think about the measure of our own faith and the strength of our doubts. If you look at the main idea today, Jesus is greater than anything we fear up there.
What gets me too is I'm also reminded of the words that Jesus said, greater faith have those that have never seen.
That's
or
exactly
heard.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's encouraging for us, isn't it? Because we can't see Jesus in the flesh at this point in our lives, right? And they did, yet they still had doubts at times. We can be sure that Jesus is in control and can calm any storm that we face. We need to imitate Peter's courage by stepping metaphorically out of our own boat to refuse to let the winds and the waves distract us from what Jesus is doing in our lives. And that's a good synopsis of what that part was all about. Let's look at our summary now. So the three main areas of summary points we have is, one, we can trust Jesus to walk with us in storms of life. Is that true?
Yes.
It is. And second, when Jesus issues an invitation, we can step out with confidence knowing that he is with us. We can step out of that boat and join him, right?
Yes.
We talked about that in our small group study, Experiencing God, by the way.
Yes.
Third, Jesus' power should lead us to worship him. All these things are exactly right. So, the thing that we want to come away with, as we walk towards Jesus in our storms, we can believe he has the power to get us where we need to be. So the challenge of today's study is for us as Christians to remember and trust that Jesus is the Lord of every storm that we face. No fear or struggle that we go through is outside his power. Sometimes we like to think it is. Well, this is just too much for God. No. He has all power, all authority, right? In 1 John 4, verse 4b, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. The storms are in the world. Holy Spirit's within us. We have nothing to fear. We can have courage. Let's have a word prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the scriptures today. Lord, I just thank you that we can trust in you. You can be with us when we are going through these storms in our life, Lord. Help us to trust you so that we can step forward with you in confidence, just like Peter did, even though he doubted. And we'll doubt, obviously, at times too, Lord. Just help us with that. Help us not to have that puny faith, that small faith. Lord God, guide us to always look to you, to trust in you, and to take your hand, just like Peter did during difficult times like that, and to admit we need your saving action, Lord. Thank you so much in your son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Great interaction. I really like the material too.
It's good
He
today.
got done not too late. He
I know.
He strong personalities in there. Well done.
I know it's hard to do.
For those online, he was teaching two, pastors, current and retired, and
Yeah.
well done.
I'm just
Well
thinking
done.
about-
Yeah, well, thank you. It was a very good lesson, though. I really enjoyed it. Thank you guys for your input. I appreciate it. And again, this is Grace Baptist Church, the Adult One Bible Study. Thank you for being with us today. Stand by on this same YouTube channel. Look for the link for the sermon that'll come shortly. Pastor Matthew will bring the message. God bless you all.